start with Mr. Nada's session, the zero effort opportunity.
The stars are not there, so you are forced to listen to a substitute. Okay?
I'm hiding it.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a call, so we'll let them finish the call and join. In fact, they also called me to the same meeting. I just told I have to go to our session, and looks like they just proceeded without me. Okay. What I'll do is I'll just I'll take 5 minutes extra, because I thought of doing 4 slides, but I ended up creating 8 slides. So I'll try to squeeze in as much as possible, but I hope the topic will be interesting to you. I'll start with a little story. Couple of days back, I had a service problem with one of the service providers. I don't want to name them because this is so common. It's nothing about one particular service provider. This is something I have observed. Whenever you write something, if you hide the name of the service provider and write something, people listen to your story. The moment you mention it, people add so much of other layers on top of it that the original message gets lost. So purposefully, I have hidden the name of the service provider. So I got a service problem. I called their call center. I spent about 15 minutes explaining my problem, and I disconnected the call. Next minute, I got a mail saying your case is resolved, and please click the link to give feedback about it. It was really frustrating because I spent 15 minutes explaining why the problem is not resolved, and the moment I disconnected the call, they have closed the ticket. Okay, so I wanted to give a very bad feedback, so I clicked on a link. No, my problem is not resolved. There was a link like that. I clicked on it, and I found this very strange question. How much effort you spent for getting this issue resolved? They were asking the customer, how much effort did you put to solve this problem? This was really strange to me, and also there were things like low, medium and high. How do they determine effort is low, medium or high? I was totally confused about it. So what I did is I just went to the dictionary and then found what they mean by effort, how much effort that you put. So this is the definition that Merriam-Webster dictionary gave me. Work done by the mind or body. That was a very interesting definition. So they can't measure by the 15 minutes that I spent on the phone. That's not the only measure. Probably the mind, I would have spent some 5 minutes thinking about how to tell the problem and all those things. By all those norms, I spent a lot of effort, and then they didn't do anything. By the moment the call got closed, and they just closed my case as well. So it was really interesting and frustrating, and I exactly felt like this monkey. What is this? Why are you expecting me to spend the effort to solve my problem? Agreed, I have to explain the problem. Without that, it can't be resolved. But this measure of how much effort did you spend was absolutely not clear to me. So what I did is I started thinking a bit more about it, and I started thinking about who should actually put effort in solving a client's problem. So typically what happens is, customer also puts some effort, service provider also puts some effort. For example, if you are having a telephone connection and there is frequent disconnections, so you put some effort. You call a number, you explain what is your problem, they will ask in what circumstances the problem is there, and then you will be answering them. So that is the customer effort. The service provider effort, maybe they will put some extra tower on your region, maybe they will give you some tips on how to improve the connectivity by installing some apps which frequently check for the connectivity and tell you when there is a problem and stuff like that. Those are all the efforts coming from the service provider side. But ultimately what happens is, this expectation is that the customer should put the effort. That's why they were asking that question, how much effort did you put to solve your problem? The expectation is that when you have a problem in your body, you go to your doctor and then you put the effort telling the doctor that what is the problem. Similarly, when you face a problem with your cable connection or with your internet or with your washing machine or whatever it is, the customer is expected to put a lot of effort, at least to start with, before the service provider starts doing something about it. But this actually results in a lot of dissatisfaction, mainly because of many times the customers don't know that they have a problem. Okay, the typical example is the connectivity. Till I get a call, I don't know that I am out of coverage area. Till somebody tries to call me, or I am trying to call somebody else, I'm not in the coverage area. By the time I realize it's too late. So that is one problem. Another example I want to give is food. So this is the example, that my personal example I'm telling you. So we went to some hotel and then we were having chapati, and then me and my daughter, we were eating. And by the time we were taking the second bite out of chapati, my wife, who was sitting across the table, she got a doubt and she asked for a piece of that chapati. She tried it and said, this is made with a spoiled flour. So she could smell and find out that it was spoiled. But I and my daughter were eating happily, because we didn't even realize that the chapati is bad. And then she called that person and she explained, and then they went and changed it. A similar incident happened in a couple of other occasions also. That's when I realized many times the customer may not even be aware that there is a problem. So what happens is, as a result, let's say we finished that chapati, we would have got some health issues couple of days later or something like that. We may not even connect that to that spoiled chapati that we had 2 days back. So as a result, what happens is, many times even the customer don't know, even if they know, the kind of effort which is required to explain it to the person who is trying to fix the problem is too high. This is a typical problem we face whenever we are reporting the broadband issues. So the question that Airtel people ask whenever you call them, they say, is the red light on? Is the green light on? They try to simplify it so that it becomes easier for us to explain it. In fact, it became such a big joke that my daughter, who's only 8 years old, she started telling, Appa, call the number and tell them red light is on but the green light is not on. So she went to that level of understanding of how to report broadband disconnection issue, but still this is asking too much from the customer side. And this is a very, very important thing. Customer always thinks you took more time than what you actually took. Maybe you solved the problem in 1 hour, but they always think you took 4 hours. This is very common across the world, across cultures. Customers always think you took more time than what you actually took to solve their problem. So when you combine all these, the expectation that the customer should put effort to get his or her issue resolved actually hurts the company. They may not know it at that time. Till the customer comes and tells me, I'm not going to do anything about it kind of attitude will hurt the company in the long run. So I tried to draw this in a little diagram. So I put the customer effort in one axis and the service provider effort in another axis, and it splits into 4 areas. So if there is a lot of effort coming from the customer, a lot of effort coming from the company also, the company has tried their level best to solve the customer's problem, but they have made the customer suffer by asking repeated questions. Many times you start all over from the zero again. You keep doing it, probably you have won the battle, but the war is lost, or the other way, whichever way you want to call it. So what has happened is, you have solved the problem, but the customer will not have a good opinion about you, because you made him or her put more effort than what they would like to do. Normally we all want to just touch a button, that's it. Somebody should come and solve our problem, right? So it didn't happen in this case. So both parties spent a lot of effort and then they ended up having a dissatisfaction. The other side is, on the low side, customer also didn't put much effort. The service provider also didn't put much effort. This is the typical train food. If the train food is bad, any of you complain? We don't. Mainly because either it was too small an error, yeah, train food will be like that. We just eat it and then we just forget it. Or we just lose confidence with that service provider. I'll never enter this restaurant again, is the decision you make. So you put 0 effort, the service provider puts 0 effort, but at the end of the day, in both these quadrants, the business is suffering. The customer will not come back again to that business. Now looking at the other 2 interesting things, if the customer is putting a lot of effort, but the service provider is putting very little effort, or they just don't care about what you are saying. This happens many times. If I ask, you will give a lot of names. But it happens, and that's when the customer starts hating you. This is worse than the other 2 things. In other 2 things, in one area, you don't care about the problem. In another area, anyway, chalta hai. He solved the problem, I'm happy. There is some, some hope left. Whereas here, it's bitterness. You only have bitter feelings about that particular service provider. You absolutely hate them. That's the 3rd quadrant. And the 4th quadrant, which is the most interesting one, where the customer starts loving you. they spend less effort and you spend more effort to fix their problem. When I say less effort, that's what I call it as zero effort opportunity. I'll come to that zero effort opportunity later. But the thing is, this quadrant where every service provider is trying for that today. Can you report a problem without really troubling too much, or spending too much time or whatever it is? Like I said, click a button and your problem is reported and the service provider will do something and then solve your problem, kind of a thing. So every company is trying to be in that quadrant so that the customer is not suffering, the customer spends less effort and they spend more effort or less effort or whatever it is, and then the problem gets resolved. So this is how, and every business that you know will fit in some area or other. You can just see, you can already imagine your cable provider, your television your internet provider, restaurants that you visit, railways, airlines, anything you take, you can fit them in one of these quadrants. Now, the question that I'm trying to ask is it possible to make the customer effort zero? The effort coming from the customer who is facing a problem, zero. I'm just adding another option to this form called zero. Can I change the monkey's expression like this by surprising them? Yeah, I had a problem and the problem is solved. And when you do that, I'm just giving some reasons on why you should be doing this. Why should the customer spend any effort at all to address a problem they face? If I am providing cell phone services, it is my responsibility to make sure that every customer is getting coverage wherever they are in the world, at least theoretically. So why should they call me and say I'm not getting good coverage in this area? Can I have some tools to know that, yeah, in Bangalore, these are the places where I have bad coverage, do something about it and then improve the coverage there and do it as a continuous activity so that the customers don't have to come and report the problem to me. I am able to sense it with zero effort coming from the customer. Can we know when the customer is facing a problem or before the customer is facing the problem? Will I be able to sense it? Can we do something to fix the problem before they press the SOS button, which is the panic button? And the last two questions are very important. If you are able to do this, will it impact the customer satisfaction? First question. Second one, will it impact your cost? It takes some cost, X rupees, to solve a service ticket. If you go in the zero effort mode, will you be spending less than X rupees? Will you be spending more than X rupees? If you are spending more than X rupees, if you are finding it in advance and then doing something about it, is it worth it? That's where I call it as zero effort opportunity, because I believe this zero effort opportunity is something which not many companies are looking into today. It can actually pay back. That I love you quadrant that we saw, it can actually shoot towards this side and then it will increase the love your customers have for you, and then it will open up new opportunities where they will buy more from you, more services from you. That's what I believe, and then I just wanted to once again show it in a slightly different graph here. The customer, how much effort they spend in solving a problem, and the service provider, how much effort they are spending in solving a problem. The traditional 1.0 service model is here. Customer has to spend a lot of effort. The service provider may also end up spending a lot of effort and then will fix the problem. That is service 1.0, the old generation. Whereas new companies, they are targeting that. That is service 2.0. Customer also should not suffer too much. I also should not spend too much of effort. Can I fix all the problems within that boundary? Many of the systems, including the Service Cloud or Salesforce or anything that you think of, Zendesk and all those, they are actually trying for this. Can I reduce the effort coming from the customer, reduce the effort coming from the service provider so that I can make it easier? One good example is templates that you would have seen in Service Cloud. Instead of composing a big email to the customer, a template is there. In one click, the template has come. You just add one line and the mail is sent. You spend 5 seconds sending an email instead of 2 minutes to compose that email or making a mistake or sending a wrong entry and stuff like that. So we are continuously working towards improving this coming from here to here. Now I'm just asking a question. Can we look into that? So, which is zero effort from the customer. All the effort comes from the service provider, and that's why I call it a zero effort opportunity. The customer need not do something. I will find out that they have a problem and I'll do something about it. One good example, I heard from Venki This example I heard from Venki, but I couldn't find any online resources to add here. But it was a very good example. Fitbit, it's a wearable device, it has a battery. And if something goes wrong in that battery, the software in the Fitbit device can sense that the battery is going wrong or the battery is going to fail or whatever it is, and then it creates a service request automatically even without the customer knowing it. And if it is over the air, you can send some update and fix the problem. If it is a software problem, Fitbit sends that firmware over the air and then fixes the problem. Even the customer won't even know that there was a problem in this device that gets fixed. No service request rise, nothing. It's automatically. If it can't be fixed through that, then the system, they use Salesforce. The Salesforce creates a new entry whereby a replacement Fitbit will be shipped to the customer. The customer need not do anything. It's zero effort from the customer. It was a fantastic use case. Venki heard it in one of the Dreamforce presentations and sent me in WhatsApp. Today I searched a lot online. I think that information is not updated in their respective literature, but it was a fantastic use case and very well fits the zero effort opportunity that I am talking about. In fact, I thought about few other things. I feel we should start drawing something called as failure journeys. Today we write customer journeys. It's all success journey, right? Customer comes, searches, they find something, they buy from us, and then they raise the ticket gets resolved. We only focus on success, the journeys and all that we draw. Whereas we should also start focusing on failure journeys. What are the cases where things can go wrong? If I am a mobile service provider, the failure journey is entirely different. If I am a restaurant, the failure journey is entirely different. Depending on your business, you should draw a failure journey and then try to see what are all the touch points where the customer is going to reach out to me and how can I reduce it. If you can bring 3 touch points to even 2 or 1, that itself is a big achievement, but if you can make it 0, nothing like it. So that's where I found some interesting solutions. There are automated systems which do this. Oracle has a solution called Oracle Auto Service Request, which is for their hardware side of business. So what happens is, when you get this solution, it continuously monitors the hardware, and then whenever there is a problem happening, hardware problem, whenever it senses a hardware problem, it automatically creates a service request along with whatever debug information that is required to fix that problem. It sends it automatically to the corresponding service person, and the fix is also either issued over the air or manually. It's similar to the Fitbit example, but more for B2B example. Then you can even use the existing systems, you can tweak them to fit them in the failure journey I'm talking about. For example, think of the flight booking systems and the check-in system. Let's say you're going to abcd.com, you book a flight ticket. Now you miss the flight. Okay, so there is a check-in system which says, yeah, a ticket which was purchased 3 days back, the check-in is done. A ticket purchased 3 days back, check-in is not done. The moment check-in is not done, what is going to happen? The client is going to call me and then ask for a cancellation. Can he do it automatically without the client asking? Surprisingly, Indian Railways does it. In Indian Railways, if there is a book ticket, if there is a waitlisted ticket which doesn't get confirmed, you don't have to contact anybody to get the refund. It's automatic. The moment it is not confirmed, there is a flow which is triggered, and then the money comes back to you automatically. You don't have to go and ask anybody. So this here, flight booking system is separate, check-in system is separate. In all circumstances, they may be owned by different people. For example, this may be owned by Yatra.com, while the check-in system is owned by JetAirways.com. They don't talk to each other. Yatra.com systems are different from Jet Airways systems. So there are problems. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but you have to start thinking about those failure journeys and where the customer will reach out to you, how many touch points they will use, and how can I reduce it, and how can I go towards 0. I think that's a mindset that I'm talking about, and I just gave the Fitbit battery example. And there is another example I found in the Salesforce Einstein, which was my original discussion topic. I started there and then I landed here. They have a very good system whereby if you are searching for something, let's say you are going to a car, self-service portal of a car manufacturer. So you are searching for new models of car. No action done. If you are searching, my windshield is broken, The moment it sees words like broken, failed and stuff like that, it creates the service request in your name automatically and assigns it to the respective technician. You don't have to go and create a service request. It takes the liberty. Because you are searching for something broken, I assume you were probably facing a problem, and next step is you are going to log a service request. Instead of making you come and log a service request, I am creating a service request. Again, there are privacy rules and there are things like how much of the assumptions that you can do. We need to think about all those things. Systems are existing. Thought process has to start and more systems will evolve. I don't believe this is a system problem. Sorry. I don't think it's a system problem. It's purely a mindset problem. If you continue with the mindset that the customer will come back to me if he is facing a problem, then that is not the right direction in which you are going. The customer will come back to you. No doubt about it, because he is facing a problem, the problem needs to be fixed, they will come back to you. But more and more you reduce their effort and move towards the zero, that's when they will start appreciating your efforts more, and then that will become an opportunity for you. So what I believe is your customers deserve a zero effort response. If you are expecting them to put even a little bit of effort, it actually is a failure. That's a mindset that I believe service organizations should get, and look for tools and ways to sense it early and then serve the customer better. So that is what I wanted to talk about today. Any questions or any discussions we can have? I'll just put up these slides online, and you can also share your thoughts by email.
I'll play a devil's advocate.
Sure.
There is a school of thought that says when two people actually work together, the relationship actually improves.
Okay.
And it's not just for marriage, which is as obviously is. Even in business, looking at the comments, right? The top right one, right?
Right.
Again, it's all contextual of course, but if the customer and the producer actually work a lot together to solve the problem, provided the problem is reasonably challenging for both, right? So in this case for the customer, it actually, some data says that actually ends up giving you a much better relationship than, if you took all the effort and the customer was not aware of it, or the customer never learned anything in that process. So there is, if you look at some of the processes that we undertake in schools and universities, one of the reasons we give strong challenges in schools and colleges and universities, part of learning is when you have a hard problem to solve and you overcome that, there is a certain long-term profit that comes out of it. So it's again contextual. The problem is so trivial, but then it is so difficult to work with you, therefore you end up with a lot of effort. Then you're right, it's a bad situation.
Right.
But if the problem is exciting, then it's probably profitable to have the customer work with you to solve together,
Right.
and take the new level.
Yeah, actually, it's a collaborative problem solving. That is what we are talking about. In some cases, it is expected. For example, taking the doctor example that we used earlier, when you go to a physiotherapist, it has to be a collaborative exercise. He can't fix your problem automatically. You have to work together. Like you rightly said, it is contextual, definitely. But in some other cases, when I'm going there with a stomach problem or something like that, I expect him to give a tablet and I want to take the tablet and the problem to be fixed. I don't want anything to be done from my side. So yeah, you are right, it depends on the problem. But if both the parties are collaborative, both the parties should work collaboratively, then yes, it makes sense. But if it is more like there is one expert who is supposed to solve the problem and another guy who is a plain consumer, then probably this zero effort makes sense. I agree with you. This zero effort thing may not work in every situation.
Yeah, but one thing, Naga, if for us we are talking because probably, even if you talk from a broadband perspective or whatever,
Right.
we are probably aware of how an internet would, whatever would work. But think of our other, the elder generation, they won't have any idea.
Right.
So expecting something from them would be a real...
Yeah, exactly. Recently you would have seen this ad from Uber where they were saying, we also accept cash. It was actually an ad targeted at senior citizens. So they were all thinking Uber equal to credit card payment or Paytm or whatever. So they were thinking those are all very complex for me. I will never use them. I will just call my local taxi fellow and I'll take that. So in fact, that's what that green light, red light. So organizations are trying to reduce that as much as possible. But at one point, it becomes the client's effort. These days everything is becoming complex. Television. which was supposed to be something where if you face a problem, somebody should walk into your home and solve the problem. There is no other option. But today, there are so many things you can do in television. For example, you can upgrade the firmware of the television and suddenly your problem gets resolved. That you and I may be willing to do it. Go to one secret location, click on a button, it downloads the firmware from the Samsung website, and then it solves the problem. I am very happy, like I said. Collaboratively, you gave me a solution, I went and I solved the problem. But for somebody else, come and solve the problem. I don't understand anything about this. I think you are right. We need to. That is another reason why we should move towards giving less and you can't assume, right? You can't assume that all your customers are techies or all your customers will be interested in working collaboratively with you.
Yeah, because today I just raised the request. I was just showing it to a couple of my teammates. I had raised the request on this. There's a new thing called LETV.
Okay.
So I raised the request saying that I'm having a problem with using my remote. Could you help me? I raised the request in 30 minutes. I guess it's resolved. I've not got the remote at all.
Oh, okay.
He says it's resolved.
Right.
So then again I raised another request saying on what basis did you resolve it? He's not
Right.
come back to me yet.
Yeah, this happens everywhere. So most of the online e-commerce sites, they give a shipping date which is plus 2 days. If they know they can ship by 10th, they always give 12th, so that they accommodate that extra bit of thing just to be on they can say that they 100% they deliver on time kind of a statement they can make. So these are all some of the tricks they use, but end of the day, effort can't be zero, I understand, not in every situation. But the journey towards zero is very important. If you are not at all attempting, in reality I feel the journey is moving towards the other side. You are expecting the customer to do more and more to get his problem resolved. You are basically washing your hands, right? It's your problem. You do something. I mean, how can they ask me how much effort did you put to solve the problem? I mean, that's totally unacceptable to me. Okay, thanks. I will leave it to you.
Thank you, Naga sir, for a very informative session. Now, I would like to introduce our recent new joiner. Sonia, please come forward and introduce yourself.